Lila Hart was a young woman full of big dreams, despite the modest life she led. At just 23, she worked tirelessly at Benny's Diner, a small, run-down restaurant in the heart of Chicago. The peeling paint on the walls and the flickering neon open sign outside mirrored her own struggles, yet her smile never wavered. Lila had a rare gift, not just for serving customers, but for making people feel valued and seen. Despite her long shifts and small paycheck, she had a nightly ritual that set her apart. Every evening, she would gather the leftover food from the diner and distribute it to the homeless she passed on her walk home. To her, it was a small gesture, but to those she helped, it was everything. One particularly cold evening, rain poured relentlessly, soaking the city streets. Lila clutched her worn jacket tightly as she hurried home, but her steps faltered when she spotted a small figure huddled under a bus stop. It was a young boy, no older than 8, shivering in the storm with his clothes soaked through. Lila's heart ached. Kneeling beside him, she gently asked, "Hey there, are you okay? Where are your parents?" The boy looked up, his face pale and frightened. "I don't have anyone," he whispered. "I'm hungry." Without hesitation, Lila took his hand and led him back to the diner. The rain drenched them both, but she didn't care. Once inside, she wrapped him in a warm blanket and served him a steaming bowl of soup. The boy's face lit up as he ate, and Lila felt a warmth in her chest that chased away the cold. What Lila didn't realize was that someone had been watching. Across the street, inside a sleek black car, sat Andrew Cole, a billionaire known for his sharp business acumen and private demeanor. He had been driving through the area after a stressful day, hoping the quiet streets would help him clear his mind. But then he saw her. At first, he was merely curious. Why was a young woman out in the rain, kneeling beside a homeless boy? But as he watched Lila take the boy to the diner and care for him, he couldn't look away. Her actions were so genuine, so selfless, that they struck a chord deep within him. "Who is she?" Andrew murmured, his gaze fixed on the diner. For the first time in years, he felt something stir inside him, a sense of admiration and wonder he couldn't quite explain. Scribbling down the name of the diner, he drove away. But the image of Lila stayed with him long after he returned to his luxurious penthouse. The next few days blurred together for Lila. Between double shifts at the diner and caring for her younger brother, who depended on her to pay for his school fees, she barely had time to think about the boy she had helped. But the memory of his smile lingered, giving her strength to push through her exhaustion. Meanwhile, Andrew couldn't get her out of his mind. Despite having everything money could buy, he couldn't shake the image of her standing in the rain, offering warmth and kindness to someone who had nothing. One evening, Andrew made a decision. Dressed in a tailored suit that seemed out of place in a diner, he walked through the doors of Benny's. The bell above the door jingled softly, drawing Lila's attention. She was balancing a tray of plates, her hair slightly frizzy from the humidity, but her smile was as radiant as ever. Andrew froze for a moment, struck by the familiarity of her face. Lila greeted him with the same warmth she offered all her customers. "Welcome to Benny's. Have a seat anywhere you like," she said cheerfully, though her eyes showed hints of weariness. Andrew chose a corner booth, his gaze following her every move. She treated everyone with the same kindness he had witnessed that rainy night. She helped an elderly customer count their change, offered a free coffee refill to a struggling mother, and even checked on a regular who seemed unusually quiet. Every interaction confirmed what Andrew already knew. This woman was extraordinary. When his meal was finished, Andrew handed Lila the bill without saying much, but as he left, he slipped an envelope under his plate. Lila didn't notice it until she cleared the table. Inside was a stack of crisp bills, far more than any normal tip. Her hands trembled as she counted the money, her mind racing with questions. She ran outside, searching for the mysterious man, but he was already gone. The sleek black car she had noticed earlier was nowhere in sight. For the rest of the night, Lila couldn't stop wondering. Who was he, and why had he left such a generous tip? The next morning, the diner buzzed with activity as usual. Lila tied on her apron and began her shift, unaware of how drastically her life was about to change. Around midday, the front door swung open, and a tall, sharply dressed man entered. His tailored suit and polished shoes stood out among the casual diners. Lila didn't notice him at first, busy taking an elderly couple's order, but when the hostess whispered that the gentleman had requested her as his server, she glanced over in surprise. Their eyes met, and a strange sense of familiarity tugged at her. The man smiled warmly. "Good afternoon," he said. "I'll take the special of the day, but only if you promise to take a break and join me for coffee later." Lila blinked, caught off guard. "Oh, I'm sorry, but I don't usually take breaks during my shift. Is there anything else you'd like?" The man chuckled. "Just the special for now," he replied, handing her the menu. As Lila walked away, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was something different about him. Throughout the meal, Andrew watched Lila closely, seeing how she treated every customer with patience and kindness, no matter how busy or stressful it got. To him, it was clear Lila wasn't just hardworking. She was remarkable. When she brought him the bill, Andrew reached into his wallet and pulled out a credit card, but as she turned to leave, he stopped her. "Wait," he said. "There's something I'd like to ask you." Lila paused, tilting her head curiously. "Yes?" Andrew leaned forward slightly. "Do you remember helping a homeless boy last week?" Her eyes widened in surprise. "Yes, I do," she replied. "How do you know about that?" Andrew smiled knowingly. "Let's just say I saw something that day. A young woman who went out of her way to help someone in need. I was impressed by your compassion." Lila blushed, feeling slightly embarrassed. "It was nothing, really. He needed help, and I just did what anyone should do." "Not everyone would have done what you did," Andrew said firmly. He handed her a folded piece of paper along with the bill. "This is for you. Open it after I leave." Confused but too polite to refuse, Lila watched as Andrew stood, gave her one last smile, and walked out of the diner. Her curiosity got the better of her, and she quickly unfolded the note. Inside was a check for $50,000. Beneath the staggering amount was a handwritten message. "Your kindness has inspired me. Use this to create the future you deserve. A grateful stranger." Lila's heart raced as she clutched the check, her hands trembling. She ran outside, scanning the street for any sign of Andrew, but he was gone. Her mind swirled with questions. Who was he? Why would he give her such an unbelievable gift? And why did he seem so familiar? That night, as she sat in her tiny apartment, Lila couldn't stop thinking about the mysterious man. She wanted to return the check. It was far too much money for her to accept, but there was no contact information on the note, and she had no way to find him. Days turned into weeks, and Lila's life began to change. With the money, she paid off her debts and started saving for her dream of opening a small cafe where everyone, including the homeless, could find a warm meal and a welcoming smile. Then one day, as she was walking home from the diner, a sleek black car pulled up beside her. The window rolled down, and there he was, Andrew Cole. "I hoped I'd find you," he said with a grin. Lila stopped in her tracks, her heart pounding. "You again? Why did you give me that money? Who are you?" Andrew stepped out of the car, his expression serious but kind. "I owe you an explanation. My name is Andrew Cole. I'm the CEO of Cole Enterprises." Lila's jaw dropped. Cole Enterprises was one of the biggest companies in the country, and Andrew was a well-known billionaire. "I didn't tell you who I was because I wanted to see how you'd react," Andrew continued. "I've spent years building wealth, but I've never seen anyone as selfless as you. Helping that homeless boy wasn't just an act of kindness. It showed who you truly are." Lila was speechless, struggling to process everything. "But why would someone like you care about me? I'm just a waitress." Andrew smiled. "You're far more than that. You have a heart that money can't buy, and I believe the world needs more people like you." He handed her another envelope. "This is the deed to a small cafe downtown. It's yours now. Consider it an investment in someone who deserves it." Tears welled up in Lila's eyes. She tried to refuse, but Andrew insisted. "Just promise me one thing," he said. "Keep being the person who inspired me. Keep helping others." From that day forward, Lila's life transformed. Her cafe became a haven for those in need, just as she had always dreamed. And though she never fully understood why fate had brought Andrew Cole into her life, she knew one thing for certain. Kindness, no matter how small, could change the world. Lesson from the story. Lila's story teaches us that even small acts of kindness can create significant changes. A simple gesture like helping a homeless person or sharing a meal can touch someone's heart and inspire incredible outcomes. It also emphasizes that a person's true value lies not in their status or wealth, but in how they treat others. Meaningful message. This story reminds us of the power of compassion and empathy. Kind actions not only bring joy to the recipient, but also have the potential to transform society. No matter how tough life gets, holding on to kindness and being willing to help others can lead to unforeseen blessings. Lila is a true example of kindness and perseverance. She inspires me with her ability to overcome hardships while maintaining her warm heart. This story also serves as a reminder that opportunities can arise from the simplest moments, and kindness is the bridge that leads to greater things. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to follow and subscribe to Story Precious. We bring you heartwarming and meaningful stories that help you see life from a fresh perspective. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our latest videos, and let's spread the message of kindness and compassion together.